Timothy Snyder's On Tyranny, 20 Lessons from the 20th Century, is a concise yet powerful work that draws on historical lessons from the 20th century to provide practical guidance for resisting authoritarianism in the modern era. Published in 2017, the book responds to the rise of populist and authoritarian movements globally, particularly in the context of democratic backsliding in the United States and Europe. Snyder, a historian specializing in Eastern Europe and the Holocaust, distills complex historical patterns into 20 actionable lessons, urging readers to safeguard democracy through individual and collective responsibility. This essay explores the core themes, structure, and significance of Snyder's work, emphasizing its relevance to contemporary political challenges. Historical context and purpose. Snyder grounds his lessons in the historical atrocities of the 20th century, particularly the rise of fascist and totalitarian regimes in Nazi Germany, the Soviet Union, and other authoritarian states. He argues that these regimes did not emerge in a vacuum, but were enabled by the complacency, complicity, or inaction of ordinary citizens. By drawing parallels to contemporary political trends, such as the erosion of trust in institutions, the spread of misinformation, and the normalization of authoritarian rhetoric. Snyder seeks to alert readers to the fragility of democratic systems. His purpose is not merely to warn, but to empower individuals to act as defenders of democracy through small, deliberate actions. The book's urgency stems from Snyder's observation that democracies can fail gradually, often through the erosion of norms rather than sudden coups. He cites historical examples, such as the gradual consolidation of power by Hitler's Nazi Party, or the suppression of dissent in Stalinist regimes, to illustrate how incremental changes can lead to tyranny. Written in the wake of the 2016 US presidential election and the global rise of populist leaders, On Tyranny serves as both a historical reflection and a call to action. Récit, structure, and key themes. The book is structured as 20 short chapters, each presenting a lesson derived from historical precedent and tailored to contemporary challenges. These lessons are practical, emphasizing individual agency in resisting authoritarian tendencies. Snyder's writing is direct and accessible, avoiding dense academic prose to ensure the book resonates with a broad audience. Below are some of the central themes and lessons that define the work. 1. Individual responsibility. A recurring theme in On Tyranny is the importance of individual action in preserving democracy. Snyder argues that tyranny thrives when citizens passively accept encroachments on their freedoms. For example, Lesson 1, Do Not Obey in Advance, warns against anticipatory obedience, where individuals conform to an authoritarian regime's demands before they are explicitly required. Snyder cites the example of how many Germans acquiesced to Nazi policies early on, enabling the regime's consolidation of power. He urges readers to question authority and resist conformity, even in small ways, such as refusing to adopt propagandistic language. 2. Defense of institutions. Snyder emphasizes the role of institutions, courts, media, and civil society, in maintaining democratic norms. Lesson 2, Defend Institutions, underscores that these entities are only as strong as the people who support them. He draws on the example of how Nazi and Soviet regimes undermined independent institutions to centralize power. Snyder encourages readers to actively support organizations like independent media or advocacy groups, whether through subscriptions, donations, or participation, to prevent their erosion. 3. Truth and language. The manipulation of truth is a hallmark of authoritarianism, and Snyder dedicates several lessons to combating this threat. Lesson 10. Believe in Truth warns against abandoning objective facts, as totalitarian regimes rely on relativism to confuse and control populations. Snyder points to the deliberate spread of misinformation by 20th century regimes, such as Nazi propaganda or Soviet disinformation campaigns, and draws parallels to modern post-truth politics. He advocates for seeking out reliable sources and defending factual discourse. Similarly, Lesson 11, Investigate, encourages individuals to verify information themselves rather than relying on simplified narratives. 4. Civic engagement. Snyder stresses the importance of active participation in public life. Lesson 17. Listen for dangerous words. Cautions against the normalization of extremist rhetoric, such as terms that dehumanize groups or justify violence. Lesson 19. Be a patriot distinguishes patriotism, love for one's country and its democratic values, from nationalism, which can fuel exclusionary and authoritarian agendas. Snyder calls for citizens to engage in their communities, vote, and hold leaders accountable to democratic principles. 5. Solidarity and resistance. Solidarity is a critical defense against tyranny. Lesson 13. Practice corporeal politics urges readers to physically participate in public spaces, such as protests or community gatherings, to build collective resistance. Snyder draws on the example of dissidents in Eastern Europe who used public demonstrations to challenge communist regimes. He also emphasizes the importance of forming alliances across differences. As seen in Lesson 20, Be as courageous as you can, which encourages standing up for others, particularly marginalized groups targeted by authoritarian policies. Relevance to the present. On Tyranny resonates deeply in the context of contemporary political challenges. Snyder's lessons address issues that remain pertinent in 2025, such as the spread of disinformation on social media, the polarization of public discourse, and the global rise of authoritarian-leaning leaders. For instance, the manipulation of elections through misinformation campaigns, as seen in various countries, echoes Snyder's warnings about the fragility of democratic processes. His call to defend institutions is particularly relevant as trust in media, judiciary, and electoral systems continues to face challenges. The book's accessibility makes it a valuable tool for a wide audience, from students to policymakers. Its brevity, each lesson is only a few pages long, ensures that its message is digestible, while its historical grounding provides depth. Snyder's use of 20th century examples serves as a sobering reminder that democratic decline is not a hypothetical scenario, but a historical reality with clear warning signs. Critiques and limitations. While On Tyranny is widely praised for its clarity and urgency, some critics argue that its lessons are overly simplistic or assume a level of individual agency that may be constrained by systemic factors. For example, not all citizens have equal access to resources or platforms to defend institutions or investigate truth. Additionally, Snyder's focus on individual actions may underemphasize the need for structural reforms to address systemic vulnerabilities in democratic systems. Nevertheless, the book's strength lies in its ability to inspire action at the grassroots level, making it a starting point for broader civic engagement. Conclusion. On Tyranny, 20 Lessons from the 20th Century, is a timely and compelling guide for navigating the challenges facing modern democracies. By drawing on historical lessons, Snyder provides a roadmap for resisting authoritarianism through individual and collective action. His emphasis on defending truth, institutions, and civic engagement underscores the active role citizens must play in safeguarding democracy. In an era of political uncertainty, Snyder's work serves as both a warning and a call to courage, reminding readers that democracy is not a given but a responsibility, as global challenges to democratic norms persist. On Tyranny remains a vital resource for those committed to preserving freedom and justice.